The Genius Files, Mission Unstoppable, written by Dan Gutman. Pepsi opened the envelope and she looked at the message on the slip of paper inside. "What is this supposed to mean?" she asked. "You got me," Coke said. "Well, it's some kind of cipher," Pepsi whispered. "You mean a code?" Coke asked. "Well, a code disguises words or phrases," Pepsi explained. "A cipher disguises single letters." "Where did you learn that?" "Everybody knows that." "I didn't," Coke said. "Well, you're a dope." "What are you kids whispering about back there?" asked Mrs. McDonald. "Nothing," the twins replied together. "Hey, how about we play that license plate game?" Dr. McDonald piped up. "Look, that car that just passed us on the left is from Florida." "Not right now, Dad," Pepsi said. She pulled out her cell phone so that she and Coke could text each other without their parents listening in. Pepsi text. "Who gave you the envelope?" Coke replied, "Nobody. It was under my pillow." Pepsi says, "We can figure this out." Coke replied, "You can figure it out." And Pepsi says, "Some genius you are." Pepsi carefully examined the slip of paper just before the explosion at the garage. Bones had told them that someone connected to the Genius Files would be contacting them. This message could be important. Pepsi was good at word games. Whenever their family played Boggle or Scrabble, she would beat them all. She could finish most crossword puzzles in minutes. She searched for a pattern in the letters. Her concentration was so intense that she didn't notice the music in the background, or the family conversation, or the miles that were going by. The RV rolled through the hilly streets of San Francisco and past the San Francisco International Airport. The letters of the message seemed entirely random. She was stumped. "We're here," Mrs. McDonald suddenly shouted as the RV rolled to a stop. "What?" Pepsi said, looking up. "We're in Kansas already?" "We're the world's largest ball of twine?" asked Coke. "Not Kansas, silly," Mrs. McDonald said. "We're in Burlingame, California." Burlingame? The kids knew Burlingame. It was only 20 minutes south of San Francisco. "What are we doing here?" Pepsi asked. "I thought we were going cross country." Then she saw the sign. The Burlingame Museum of Pez Memorabilia. "Pez?" Pepsi asked. "Who's Pez?" "Not who," said Mrs. McDonald. "It's a what." "You really don't know what Pez is?" Coke asked his sister. "Are you from another planet?" "Pez is that candy that you put in the little plastic holder, and when you move the head back, a piece of candy pops out of the thing's neck." "Ooh, that sounds disgusting," Pepsi said as they climbed out of the RV. "They actually have a museum about that stuff?" In fact, they do. Mrs. McDonald had heard about the Burlingame Museum of Pez Memorabilia from one of her web readers, who emailed her tips all the time. She thought it would be a perfect place to be featured on her Amazing But True. Coke, of course, knew everything there was. Coke knew just about everything anybody could ever want to know about Pez. He had read a magazine article about it in the dentist's office, and he remembered every word of it. Pez, he told the others, was invented in 1927 by an Austrian businessman named Edward Haas. He got the name by abbreviating Pfefferminz, which is the German word for peppermint. Mrs. McDonald grabbed her laptop and she led the family into the museum. For a real Pez head, this must be what heaven is like. The museum had 683 different Pez dispensers, including some vintage ones from the 1950s, and the extremely rare Pez pineapple wearing sunglasses. Even Coke learned a thing or two that he didn't know. Pez, for instance, was originally sold as a mint to people who were trying to quit smoking. In one room was the world's largest Pez dispenser. It was almost 8 feet tall and it looked sort of like a skinny snowman. Isn't this cool? Mrs. McDonald said, taking a photo to add to her amazing but true. Oh, yeah, Ma, Pepsi said. Totally. Actually, it was pretty cool, but Pepsi wasn't about to admit that things are cool when their parents think they aren't cool. If parents think that something is cool, then by definition, it can't be. And any kid knows that. Dr. McDonald looked over an array of Pez memorabilia, shaking his head the whole time. He had spent the last 20 years of his life teaching and writing scholarly or articles about American history. He could be visiting Valley Forge. He could be visiting Lexington and Concord. But here he was, staring at the largest Pez dispenser in the world. He sighed. These are the sacrifices that grown-ups make for marriage, he figured. I don't get it, Dr. McDonald mumbled. What's this dispenser for? Why can't you just eat the candy without putting it in the dispenser? The dispenser is cool, Dad, Coke informed him. The candy tastes better when it comes out of Mr. Spock's neck. The Pez Museum also had a section that was devoted to classic toys, such as Tinker Toys, Colorforms, Viewmasters, and Lincoln Logs. The McDonald family spent a few minutes looking over the watches and t-shirts in the gift shop before piling out the door and back into the RV. Mrs. McDonald had bought a Pez dispenser for each of the twins as a souvenir. A Coke Pez for Coke and a Pepsi Pez for Pep. Ben, you left the keys sitting in the RV with the window open, Mrs. McDonald complained. Anybody could have come along and driven this thing off. Sorry, Dr. McDonald replied. And he was. He had a habit of forgetting to lock the car and taking the keys. As they pulled out of the parking lot, Pepsi pulled out her pad and she returned to the cipher. The short break proved to be a good thing. It allowed Pepsi to take a fresh look at the cipher. Now she was seeing hidden words such as core, tan, heat, tea. But she still couldn't put them together into a coherent sentence. Coke leaned over his sister's shoulder to check her progress. Maybe the spaces between the words are just decoys, Pepsi thought, as she took the piece of paper and pencil out of the backpack. The spaces make it look as though that they are separate words, but they may have been inserted within words to make it harder to decipher the message. So she wrote the message, closing up all the spaces. It didn't make it any easier to clear. Maybe it's another language, Coke whispered. It looks like it might be Hawaiian or something. It could be a transposition cipher, Pepsi mumbled to herself. She wrote out the cipher again, but this time in the reverse order. There must be a mistake in here somewhere, Coke whispered. No, Pepsi said. Wait a minute. It must have nulls in it. A null? Coke asked. What's a null? It's a fake letter, she told him. A letter that doesn't mean anything. How do you know all this stuff? I just do, she replied. I'll take out all the A's and see what happens. Pepsi rewrote the message.